Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Protecting Digital Assets in the Age of AI. And just to say, the people and processes are crucial elements of any organization's data security plans. And secure and responsible AI use now has to be factored into those plans. And according to a recent PR Newswire report, 58% of organizations have concerns around the lack of visibility into the unsanctioned use of generative AI in their companies. Are you truly aware of all of the growing threats and risks within your company when it comes to AI use? So today we're joined by Erfan Sitork, Principal Technical Specialist at Microsoft. And Erfan is going to discuss how to develop and update your data security plans that protect the data that AI accesses and generates. And we're encouraging you and your organization to shift your mindset to create a culture of cyber health. So let me turn things over to Erfan to begin his talk.
Thank you, Teresa. Hi, everybody. My name is Erfan Sitork. I'm a Principal Technical Specialist at Microsoft, and I'm based out of Chicago, Illinois. I am laser focused on data security and governance within the healthcare sector. So I help customers leverage the power of Microsoft solutions to solve complex security and compliance problems and help deliver value to the organizations. So I will share some of my experiences today on data security as I'm working daily with customers, helping them build strategies around it, especially with the rise in AI usage. So our goal here today is to highlight the importance of creating that culture of cyber health and integrating AI in a responsible manner. So I'm excited to take you all on this journey, and I hope you find this session informative and engaging. So let's get started. Teresa, if you can go to the next slide. So artificial intelligence is transforming the business landscape in ways that were once unimaginable. AI is a broad term that refers to any type of computer software that engages in human-like activities, including learning, planning, and problem solving. So AI technologies are becoming imperative to maintain a competitive edge as they are disrupting virtually every business process in every industry. So let's dive deeper into that transformative power of AI, which is reshaping our world in essentially three distinct dimensions, kind of visualized here: the individual, the function, and the industry. So let's start with the individuals like you and me. With AI, we're seeing enhanced collaboration, faster information retrieval, and an unprecedented boost in creativity and focus. As we move on to organizational functions, sales teams are spending more quality time with customers, market engagements have become more meaningful, and there's a significant shift in advantage from attackers to defenders. And on the industrial scale, healthcare is becoming more personalized, finance is safer, retail sustainability is no longer a buzzword, but a reality, and manufacturing efficiency has reached new heights. So in essence, AI isn't just about technology, it's about enhancing human capability, organizational efficiency, and industrial innovation. Can you go to the next slide, please? This graph is very interesting. So this graph illustrates the rapid pace of technology adoption by users. So it shows the time it took for different technologies to reach 100 million users, including smartphones, internet, Instagram, TikTok, and ChatGPT. So things that we all kind of seen today and kind of common things. So the graph reveals that the time it takes for technology to reach 100 million users is decreasing. So for instance, smartphones took about 16 years to reach 100 million users, while TikTok achieved this milestone in about 9 months. And as you can see, ChatGPT hit this about 2 months. So this is a clear indication that the pace of technology adoption is increasing at an unprecedented rate, especially with AI. So as we continue to embrace new technologies, it is essential to stay ahead of the curve and leverage these advancements to drive innovation and growth. Next slide, please. Today, we're witnessing a new moment for AI, essentially. Let's take a journey through its evolution. So we begin in the 1950s with the inception of artificial intelligence, a field in computer science, which is aiming to create machines capable of intelligent behavior surpassing human intelligence, kind of where it starts. And then we fast forward to 1959, machine learning emerges as that subset of AI. It empowers machines to learn from data, improving their decision-making and predictions over time. As we fast forward to more kind of recent times, around 2017, we delve deeper into deep learning. So this technique utilizes layers of neural networks to process data and make intricate decisions. Now, within the 2021 to 2023 today, we are entering that era of generative AI. This advanced form of AI can create new written, visual, and auditory content from given prompts or existing data. We're not just observers, but active participants in this exciting journey of AI evolution. The possibilities are honestly endless, and we're only scratching the surface of what is possible. As we continue to explore the potential of AI, let us embrace this new era with open arms and kind of work together to kind of build that future. So can you go to the next slide? Before kind of going into the security aspect of it, let's explore generative AI a little bit more and understand how it's different from traditional AI. So generative AI and traditional AI are two different approaches to artificial intelligence. Generative AI is designed to create new and original content or ideas based on learned patterns and data. Traditional AI is designed to perform specific tasks based on pre-programmed rules and data. So generative AI leverages machine learning techniques to autonomously generate content, while traditional AI relies on that explicit programming to execute tasks. Generative AI can handle more complex and evolving scenarios, while traditional AI excels in those well-defined tasks with explicit rules. So generative AI models learn from large data sets of existing content, while traditional AI models are trained on the data sets of labeled data. So generative AI is being used in many industries. I mean, we see it everywhere, including healthcare, finance, retail, manufacturing, just to name a few. For example, where I'm kind of based on every day in healthcare, generative AI is being used to generate things like synthetic data to protect patient privacy. In finance, we see generative AI is being used to create financial data to train machine learning models. In retail, we've seen generative AI being used to generate product descriptions and reviews. In manufacturing, you could see it generating 3D models of products. I mean, again, the potential of generative AI is vast, and it's transforming the way we approach problem solving today. Can you go to the next slide? So as I'm coming from Microsoft, I want to kind of share my experiences at a tool. So Teresa asked what you guys are using today. I saw some people mentioning Copilot. So as we talk about AI, it's important to mention what Microsoft is doing around their Copilot experiences. They've essentially created a Copilot for every experience. Microsoft has been working for years to advance the field of AI and also publicly guide how these technologies are created and used on our platforms in responsible and ethical ways. Whether it's in daily app usage with Microsoft 365 Copilot, empowering your workforce dynamics with Dynamics 365 Copilot, building with Power Platform Copilot, ensuring security at machine speed with Security Copilot, or boosting developer productivity on GitHub Copilot. I'll give anybody a prize if they count how many times I say Copilot. There's a specialized Copilot ready to assist kind of in every situation. Having an intelligent assistant really ensures not only efficiency, but also an added layer of security and compliance. So why is this relevant, essentially, in this context? We'll discuss further in the presentation how Copilots like the one for Microsoft 365 is streamlining work and really helping you prepare for your AI journey. Next slide, please. So as we're discussing all the benefits of AI, not to scare anybody, but it's also important to understand the growing threats and risks from within organizations and from AI. Here are kind of the most common fears of generative AI that we hear from our customers. Data loss and privacy. Generative AI relies on large data sets to learn and create new content. If these data sets were ever lost, stolen, exfiltrated, it could lead to a loss of sensitive information and a breach of privacy. So it's important to ensure that the data is stored securely and access is restricted to authorized kind of users. Unwanted AI behavior. So generative AI can sometimes produce unexpected or unwanted behaviors. For example, it may generate content that is offensive or inappropriate. So it's important to monitor generative AI systems closely and to have processes in place to address any of those unwanted behaviors. Attackers. So generative AI can be used by any attackers to create fake content or to launch cyber attacks. So it's important to ensure that generative AI systems are secured and they are protected against attacks. And we'll go into that a little bit further as we talk about building that data security program. And lastly, but not least, the use and misuse risks of AI. So generative AI can be used for both good and bad purposes. So it's important to ensure that it is used ethically and responsibly. This includes ensuring that it's not used to spread misinformation or to discriminate against any certain groups or people. So to mitigate these risks, it's important to have that strong governance and oversight of these systems. This includes having clear policies and procedures in place for data management, security, and privacy. It also includes having processes in place to monitor generative AI systems and to address those unwanted behaviors. And finally, it's important to ensure that generative AI is used ethically and responsibly. We keep saying that responsible AI is very important, and it's not used to kind of spread that misinformation. So go to the next slide, please. So as we're kind of building on those associated risks, due to that lack of visibility and controls to protect data and AI, we are seeing organizations pausing or in some instances even banning that use of AI out of an abundance of caution. So when it comes to generative AI, from my experiences, we've seen these risks in kind of three different categories, how we divide it. The rise of shadow AI. A critical challenge is having visibility into these AI services that are in use and how these users are interacting with them. So it's important to ask the questions such as, is this app safe? How many users are accessing it? What risks does it pose? And the lack of controls to protect data shared in AI. So this other critical concern around data security. How do security teams ensure that sensitive data that's being exchanged between the user and app is protected? And last but not also very important, that increased regulatory pressure. As AI systems are evolving, we'll see this kind of more and more being evident. So with that rapid adoption of AI in business workflows, it's important that security teams remain compliant and keep up with these new regulations that come around data protection. So to mitigate these risks, it's important to have that strong governance and oversight. I keep repeating it, and we'll have kind of a little bit more detail around how to build that kind of program. So we'll go into that later in the presentation and discuss developing data security plans around AI, and it also includes having processes to place that AI systems for any sort of unwanted behavior. And by following these kind of practices, we can ensure that our AI systems are used safely and responsibly. Can you go to the next slide? So let's walk through an example. Coming from Microsoft, if you ever heard the term Contoso, it's a fake company. So this is an example that we want to walk through. Contoso is this healthcare organization that's using generative AI to predict and prevent harmful and unintended reactions to medication. So clear good use. They want to build this solution and have it operationalized within the organization. So to do so, Contoso grants AI access to large amounts of data, electronic health records, clinical trials, medication, you name it. That AI learns from this data and generates recommendations for clinicians and patients. So all of this sounds great, but if Contoso doesn't have a data security and governance program in place, this could expose them to some real blatant risks. So the data that AI used could be sensitive information, including things like PII and PHI, and that could violate patients' privacy rights and expose them to identity theft and fraud, which then leads to loss of patient trust, which is very important for healthcare organizations. That data generated by AI may also be vulnerable to unauthorized access, modification, deletion, or disclosure by malicious actors, which and hence increases that data loss risk and could diminish Contoso's competitive edge. And the data that AI uses and produces may not comply with that relevant laws and regulations that govern the use of personal data in healthcare. HIPAA is very common. I mean, it's something that all healthcare organizations have to oblige by. So it's important that we follow this from a compliance standpoint. So this could result in legal penalties and potential reputational damage. So as you see, Contoso could have serious consequences for not having that data security and compliance program in place. So as organizations adopt AI, not only do you need to secure the data that AI is using, you also need to ensure that AI generated data is secure and compliant as well. Next slide, please. So as we see, it's crucial for organizations to have this established data security program in place. So with the increasing amount of data being generated and stored, it's important more than ever to have this data protected from unauthorized access and theft. And the most kind of urgent data security challenges that we're obviously seeing is discoverability. Discovering your most valuable assets. It's important to identify the data that's valuable to your organization and to prioritize its protection. Then securing that data. Once you have identified your most valuable data, it's important to ensure that it's stored securely and the access is restricted to authorized personnel, preventing sophisticated attacks. Cyber attackers are becoming increasingly sophisticated in their methods, so it's important to have strong security measures in place to prevent these attacks from succeeding. Interacting with data and identifying insider risks. It's important to monitor how data is being used with your organization and to identify any insiders' risks that may exist as well. We'll go into this a little bit further as we talk about building that program. And ensuring your data remains secure from data leakage and exfiltration activities. So it's important to have processes in place to prevent data from being leaked or exfiltrated. So again, to mitigate these risks, it's important to have this process in place, so clear policies and procedures, and we'll go into that a little bit further in the next slide as we talk about starting your AI security journey today. So if you go to the next slide, please. So how do we start AI data security? How do we build that journey out today? So here's some general high-level guidance on how to approach this program, and we'll go into this a little bit more detail on the following slide to build it kind of an end-to-end approach. So first, what we talk about is discovering of data. We discover that sensitive data. So discovering sensitive data and embracing a data classification strategy is that first step towards this comprehensive data security program. We emphasize this with all our customers. It's very important that you have a sense of knowing your data and where it's located and using kind of classification methods from different solutions to understand all of it. So with these advanced classification methods and labeled content at our disposal from various solutions, no sensitive information could essentially be hiding from us. So as we go on to that next stage, moving on to that data leak prevention stage, we create a data loss prevention program that acts like an impenetrable fortress preventing sensitive data exfiltration. So every piece of critical information that is quintessential to our organization remains safe and secure. And lastly, automation of data labeling. With a defined label taxonomy and default labels in place, we could scale with automation capabilities on client applications and services ensuring consistency and accuracy. We can apply these persistent controls to data to apply protections through these automated policies. And we'll go into this a little bit more as we talk about the Microsoft mapped solution to this purview. So can you go to the next slide, please? So how can we be more prescriptive with this approach from an end-to-end perspective? So building a data security plan for an organization around AI requires a comprehensive approach. So first, we need to establish a data classification program and identify the data that is being collected, processed, and stored by the organization. So including data used to train AI models and data generated by those models. Then we will need to assess the risks associated with that data, including risks associated with the use of those AI models. Then we will need to develop policies and procedures that address the identified risks and implement technical controls to protect that data. After that, another really important step of the people process component here is to train your employees on the policies and procedures and controls. So we establish this kind of awareness around the organization, and then we can lastly have a continuous monitoring process and stage so we can review the data security plan regularly to ensure that it remains effective and it's up to date. Next slide, please. So as we discuss data security plans that protect the data AI accesses and generates, I think it's important to note how Microsoft 365 Copilot is streamlining that work and preparing you for AI journey. Again, I saw some people in the chat mention that they are using Copilot today, which is great. So that is a tool that's built on top of and integrated with M365. So enabling you to take advantage of that existing security, compliance, and privacy solutions that you've already deployed in your organization today. It leverages the power of a large language model to generate insightful responses and app commands based on your prompts and context. So it also ensures that the security and privacy of your data by encrypting all the requests and using the responsible AI techniques based on our principles today with our solutions. So it's important to note that the permissions model within your M365 tenant can help ensure that data won't unintentionally leak between users, groups, and tenants. M365 Copilot presents only data that each individual can access using the same underlying controls for data access used in other M365 services. So that the M365, this index that we have, honors the user identity-based access boundary. So the grounding process only accesses content that the current user is authorized to access. So that's why it's important in this case to have proper permissions and then controls established so that this Copilot won't return something you shouldn't be consuming as a user today. Next slide, please. So again, as we discussed how to build this data security strategy, I want to now show you how we can map that strategy back to tech, which is in the previous slide that I referred to, Microsoft Purview. So I work with Purview every single day with my customers, and this is kind of relevant as we made a lot of announcements at our most recent conference, Ignite, around all the things that Purview can do to help with securing data in the age of AI. So initially, that unparalleled visibility into AI, data security risks for sensitive data usage and risky AI use. So for Microsoft Copilot and M365 and non-Microsoft AI, so you can quickly take action to strengthen that security posture. So second, you get comprehensive protection through this use of customizable policies that you can control how sensitive data is shared with AI applications, including prompts and responses. And finally, there are added compliance controls to help you meet your business and regulatory needs. So for Copilot from 365, you can capture evidence as part of your audit. So you can audit what I'm chatting with in the prompt. I can get an e-discovery result for it. I can retain, delete those prompts, and as well kind of detect regulatory and business code violations. Why is this important? Not just because of Microsoft. All of these concepts are really key to understand how we build a program around AI and all the necessary controls that we need to have in place today. Next slide, please. So again, Microsoft Purview is this comprehensive set of solutions that's built on kind of a shared set of industry-leading AI-powered data classification, data mapping, extensive audit logging technologies, and this unified experience. So with Purview, you can extend comprehensive data security and compliance capabilities to AI. You could protect and govern your data estate, the entire estate, all your data wherever it lives. And then you get a better and faster outcomes with this integrated and simplified set of solutions. So why is this important? Just to, while you're looking to operationalize on artificial intelligence tools, it's important to understand what security controls you have in the industry today that you can leverage. So for example, we talked about Purview, but there are other kind of solutions that we can reference, but it's key to know what are the key areas that we need to build this program around. Next slide, please. So as I've gone through this data security and compliance journey with many of our customers, I wanted to share a few lessons that we've learned along the way as we're kind of wrapping up the content today. So firstly, data governance should not be an afterthought. Proactive governance leads to better security. By implementing a comprehensive data governance strategy, organizations can ensure that their data will be secure and compliant with regulations. So putting these both together to build that holistic platform is very important. We see this time and time again with our customers. Secondly, comprehensive data protection should also account for context. This can include the context of users, the documents they're interacting with, the devices they're using, and so on. By taking context into account, organizations can ensure that data protection policies are tailored to their specific needs. For example, if I'm exfiltrating a document, that is just one transaction. But if I take the context of my user, I'm potentially tendered my resignation, I'm leaving the organization, and then I'm exfiltrating documents. That context is very important to understand the user's risk associated with their actions. And thirdly, it's in all my conversations, change management comes up as this equal component. Change management is critical to ensuring that data protection policies are implemented effectively and that employees are trained on how to use them. And lastly, extensibility is key. Building solutions that work for customers multi-cloud. Multi-platform reality is really not optional. So by building solutions that are flexible and scalable, organizations can ensure that their data protection policies are future-proof and can adapt to changing business needs. Next slide, please. So as we kind of wrap up today's content, it's crucial to underscore that pivotal role that a shift in mindset plays in fostering a culture of cyber health within our organizations. We are entrusted with sensitive data that is incumbent upon us to discover and protect this information throughout its life cycle. This means implementing robust security protocols and continuously monitoring for vulnerabilities. So furthermore, understanding user activity context around data is not just an option, but a necessity. Identifying risks associated with data handling ensures that we are always steps ahead of potential breaches. And lastly, prevention of unauthorized access across apps, services, and devices is integral. We're not just talking about a boundary anymore. All the different areas that users can be accessing from, we need to have proper controls in place. Our security infrastructure must be dynamic, adapting to emerging threats while ensuring usability. In essence, each of us here today plays its vital role in this journey towards cyber health. It begins with the shift in mindset from reactive protocols to proactive strategies, from siloed operations to collaborative efforts, from compliance checkboxes to a holistic security program. Together, let's embark on this journey where security is not just implemented, but ingrained in our organizational culture as we enter this new age of AI. Next slide. So again, thank you all for joining us today. We hope this kind of webinar was informative and insightful. Here's some additional collateral that we can share with you around kind of some of the things that we talked about with Purview and M365 Copilot. Another webinar that we can go into a little bit more about protecting data and AI, and kind of a trial for Purview for you guys to kind of play with and kick the tires. So again, thank you guys for your time, and I'll be here for any sort of Q&A. I was just about to look at the chat.
Well, thank you, Irvin. So many. It's been like really fascinating conversation. I've been enjoying sitting here listening to the whole thing, and I want to kick off Q&A. There's a couple of questions that I have, and I invite the audience to use the chat feature to go ahead and ask their questions too. And let me just go ahead and turn off the screen share for just a second here. Okay, where I scribbled some notes here. You were talking about, that you work with your customers every day on these, in with what your work in general. What are some of the common challenges that you're seeing with your customers around building a data security program?
It's really goes back to that discoverability, getting a grasp on what data they have within the organization that they need to protect, and whether it's on premises, within SQL databases, within file shares. You have a massive amount of data that organizations are struggling to get a grasp of and be able to somewhat inventory, to be able to get a sense of all the sensitive data that I have in my file shares or in my SharePoints or in my endpoints. Getting that understanding in place helps us establish data security and data governance policies against that data itself. So that's kind of some of the common challenges that I see. Main thing with being able to establish that program. And once we are, then getting through the deployment hurdles, because things like data protection involves everybody in the organization. You have to see how finance interacts with data, how HR does, how all these different entities work together. So it's a collaborative effort. So I do see hurdles with organizations trying to build this holistic platform. So again, we want to recommend you not to look at things from a siloed approach or just building a DLP program. We're looking at holistically how to put everything together end to end on a program. I do also have some colleagues of mine on the line, Angel Sanchez and Matthew Governale, if any of you guys want to get off mute and share some of your feedback as well.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Matt Governale here. Yeah, a lot of what we've seen around, looking at just different types of data that could be in an environment. It really is just figuring out the where. Where is that information? How is it, and how is it being accessed, and how are they using it, in their environment? So it's really not just one group, that can solve all the problems around your data security. But what we've had to do in the past is we work with the different security teams, at least just to establish a baseline. We know based on how that company operates, who they operate with, probably what's going to be most sensitive, but you kind of, even have to do a roadshow internally because there are a bunch of different groups, with your HR teams, your finance teams that may deal with different data, and you have to kind of identify how they operate. And it's just, kind of tailoring the tools to their use to give them the best experience. Because a lot of things that I've seen in the past when you're doing, especially something like, data labeling, which is new to a lot of people. Before I used to just type a document, email it. But now you're telling me I have to label it where it's using the automation, that's available in a large set of tools from different providers. But it's just kind of it's just training. It's a different way of working today. Security is not just a firewall anymore. It includes all of us. We all kind of have to take that proactive approach and learn the best practices here.
Alex has, yes, thank you. Alex has a question here about asking you to talk a little bit about any specific challenges or issues around unstructured content documents, the structured unstructured debate.
Good. I'll add some color. Again, I'll look to Matt and Angel to provide any additional color here. But essentially, what I see as a big challenge with unstructured data sets as it pertains to AI is having the ability to regenerate data off of that. So if I have a sensitive document that I'm working on that doesn't have any indication that it is sensitive, I could use artificial intelligence to rebuild it or enhance it. And that's where it's troublesome when you don't really understand all the data that you have in place to have control. So if I were to have a document that's sensitive and I have it labeled, that label will then prevent me from regenerating an open document with that content. So from an AI perspective, that's a huge thing that I see where customers are scared to approach the AI component, mainly because of the generative components of it, where we're going to regenerate data that could potentially be sensitive and go out in the wild. Matt and Angel, keep me honest here. Do you guys have any other kind of feedback here?
No, I think you covered it well. Oh no, Angel, you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna add that AI kind of removes the limitation of a user not knowing where the data is, right? So if you don't have a good program established, you're gonna be exposed data that was already exposed, but your users didn't have the ability to find it because they didn't know they have it, right? So AI kind of accent or increment the necessity to have a very mature and established data protection program, because you're not gonna have that protection biosecurity that we do today when you don't have AI solutions implemented in your organization.
A question that I have, Erfan, you had talked about, responsible AI, responsible and ethical use of AI. Can you define exactly what you mean by that? I'm not sure if we lost Erfan here.
Sorry, I got a lag for a second. The question was around responsible AI?
Sorry. You had mentioned responsible AI, responsible and ethical AI in the use of AI. What exactly do you mean by that?
Okay, great question. Thank you. Responsible AI is essentially a set of practices that ensures AI systems are designed, deployed, and used in a safe, trustworthy, and ethical way. So Microsoft has its own kind of framework, that a responsible AI standard that's based off of kind of 6 principles, and these principles are fairness, reliability, safety, privacy, and security. I'll double check that. Fairness, reliability, privacy, and transparency. So I'll provide that within the chat, but that's a standard that we have to be able to dictate how to build these AI solutions moving forward, and it goes back to kind of that responsible AI. I hope that was helpful in your question.
Well, and Sandra puts in the chat, well, who will police ethical AI? And my response is there's no ethical AI police out there. So it's up to us to be good about this, I believe.
Exactly. And the systems you're building. Oh, sorry, Matt.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I mean, I know that I wish I had the article in front of me, but I know even 3 weeks ago that even our government is trying to put controls around AI, what we do, but kind of how we've taken our approach to AI, and we want it to be a productivity tool to make people better. So it is really kind of dependent upon the organization and that AI tool that they're building of what you can and can't do. But kind of how I look at it and tell people, for our AI is that it's an extension of yourself, right? It is, whatever we, give you access to is what your, version of AI is going to have access to as well, information wise. But yeah, it's really just up to, the people how they, if they want to use it to make themselves better, that's great. If they want to use it maliciously, well, that's where I would look to, the other companies and vendors that have the controls to put in place to kind of prevent that.
Yeah, because we have our own kind of systems that we have, like Copilot, that's built on these principles. But there's also Azure OpenAI that you can build your own systems. And this is where we give you these principles to help kind of dictate how you build it. So fairness, all systems should be treated fairly. Reliability and safety, AI systems should perform reliably and safely. Privacy and security, they should be secure and respect privacy. Inclusiveness, we talked about this earlier, should empower everyone, engage people. Transparency should be understandable. And accountability, the people should be accountable for AI systems. So going back to your question about who can police it.
Yeah. And something that Mike mentioned reminded me that AIM has responded to those calls for comments that at the government level. So if you go to aim.org, in the tab is resources, in the resource center, you will see AIM's responses. There's 3 different ones in there. And I'm blanking off the top of my head the exact names of all of them. I have my shortcut names in my head, but there's 3 different responses for different calls for comments that have come out in the last couple of months. And AIM is actively responding to these to represent our industry. So check that out on the AIM website as well.
Yeah, I see a question from Fritz. So it's a great question. Any additional technical controls? Again, Angel and Matt, please help me add an additional favor here. But yeah, we have things like encryption, where we can add the additional control for your data that we can apply based off of, in addition to role-based access control. So you have encryption methodologies that you can apply, and data loss prevention in the fact that, for example, if you're going on Bard, I'm going to put some sensitive data, copy and paste it into Bard. I have data loss prevention to approach that, and then other kind of risk-based tools where, for example, we have an insider risk tool where I could show if I'm using these tools inappropriately. So again, it's a combination of a lot of different controls. But yeah, Angel, Matt, if you want to elaborate a little bit more, I saw you.
Yeah, I also added, and something that we need to be, that is very important, is the proper retention policies and capabilities to that data, right? The safest way to protect your data is to delete it when the organization doesn't have a need for it, right? So yes, you do have a lot of security controls like encryption, data loss prevention, the fact that you can classify it and identify it, but also making sure that we're removing it from the organization when you don't need it.
Okay. And I also wanted to mention out there, because this is actually turning into a really good conversation, and more than what the 3 minutes, we won't be able to do it justice properly. And this is a very valuable conversation. I'll be sure that in the new year that AIM will have a member meetup to specifically discuss ethical use of AI and what is ethical and how to police that. And so look to the AIM community and also the event listing on the AIM website. I'll get a meetup scheduled for this so we can have a more detailed conversation on this. And meetup registrations, if you go to aim.org/events, in the list of upcoming events, as we get them scheduled, you'll find them on that page. And those are for our, specifically for our AIM Plus and AIM Plus Pro members. Benefit of the membership to be part of those roundtable discussions. So I just want to put that out there. Erfan, Angel, Mike, we only have a couple minutes left in our time today. This has been just a fantastic conversation here today. And so let me just share a couple other things that's going on with AIM, and then I'll come back for some closing comments. So hold on for just 1 second here. So just wanted to share out with everyone, if you haven't heard, the CIP has relaunched this past Monday. I'm very pleased to see that our certification has been updated, fully updated, completely new set of questions. It's as certifications go through periodic reviews, and this was our certified information professional exams time. So this exam features, as I said, all new questions, and it was developed by a task force of information management specialists. And additionally, we have an updated body of knowledge with new sections on AI, large language models, IDP, intelligent document processing, RPA, robotic process automation. These are all new subject areas that are included in our certification exam. So if you go to aim.org/CIP, we are running a special through the end of this calendar year. So basically for another month to purchase the exam for $350, because come January 1st, that price will increase to $450. So at checkout, use the code CIP 2023 to take advantage of that offer. And if you do have any questions, email hello@aim.org and we'll get you squared away with that. But just very pleased that we had 44 people join our ranks as certified information professionals from the beta exam process. And also AIM 24, it may seem like it's so far away, but it really is just around the corner in the first week of April in the new year. The full agenda of the sessions, keynote speakers, all of that is on the website, aimconference.com. I encourage you to go check it out. Request from your own organization the budget that you're going to need to come to conference, because this is, don't miss. We're having so many sessions planned for this, always new things, new ways that we present education and learning to everybody. And so it's something that I encourage you to check out and for you to join us at AIM 24 in this coming year. We're going to be in San Antonio, Texas. So, we are at the end of our webinar time today, and this webinar has been recorded and it will get to aim.org's resource center page in a few days. Look in the chat for the link to the resources page, your PDF of the slides. A lot of cool stuff in there. Greatly appreciate if you take our feedback survey when everything is all said and done here today. I very much want to thank our underwriter, Microsoft. Without the support of our solution providers, AIM would not be able to bring you these free education programs. So thank you, Microsoft, for your sponsorship and your support, and for helping to educate the community at large. And so with that, I want to let Arfan just give us your closing thoughts or key takeaway or something fabulous that you just want to say to wrap things up for our audience.
Yeah, definitely. So as we conclude, let us remember that the security of our data is paramount in the age of AI. So with the increasing use of AI in our daily lives, it's important to ensure that our data is secured and protected. So we must work together to develop and implement effective data security measures that safeguard our privacy and protect that personal information. So thank you guys again. It was a pleasure to be able to talk to you guys. And if you want to remember anything, just remember the importance of building data security programs around your data estate. And thank you.
Thank you, Arfan. Thank you, Microsoft, for your sponsorship. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. It was so great to see you all again, and look forward to seeing you with our next event. So talk with y'all soon. Have a great day.